Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brendan Samus. I'm an account manager here at TripSpark. Accompanied with me is Joe Tovar, the Novus product manager. Joe, say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Perfect. Today we're going to be taking a look at the self-service trip portal module. This is an extension of your current scheduling systems, whether it's Pass or Novus. It works the same with both modules. It's one of two traveler information components that we offer here at TripSpark, the other one being our notification system called Ripple. You guys might have caught that webinar we hosted not too long ago. But today we're going to be taking a look at the web portal, and again, we call it the self-service trip portal. What is this self-service trip portal going to do for you guys? It's going to do a couple things. One, it's going to improve the service that you guys are able to offer to your clients. It's going to reduce no-shows, increase efficiency in your operations, as well as alleviate some of the pressure on your call center staff. And it goes without saying, this is an easy-to-use module that's even easier to maintain. That was the objective here. Okay, so how is this portal going to improve service to your riders? Well, it's going to give them the ability to book trips, review trips, confirm trips, cancel trips, and my personal favorite, clone trips. I often say riders are creatures of habit, often going to the same places again and again, and this is going to give them the ability to pull up a previous trip that they've done, change the date and time, and execute it quickly. It's also going to streamline the will call management, which people are going to be able to do will calls in your system. You're going to have that in the system, and then they're going to be able to pull out whatever their mobile device or their computer and click a button to initiate the return trip quite nicely. Something I thought was pretty exciting. We're also going to have the ability to see upcoming previously booked trips in the system. I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. And one that I thought was quite interesting that we're going to be introducing in this version is the ability to see vehicles on a map in real time as they approach an individual pickup that pertains to that particular rider. All this information is going to be available, maybe with the exception of the map, through the screen readers for the visually impaired. So I think that's quite nice as well. Okay, this portal is going to enable your operations in a couple different ways. One, it's going to reduce no-shows, as I mentioned previously, by giving passengers or riders the tools to be able to easily cancel trips, right? So when they have the ability to cancel a trip easily, it's less likely they're just going to stick you guys on a particular ride. Reduce the driver wait times by sharing with your passengers the real-time ETAs of where the vehicles actually are, right? So this, of course, assumes that you have some sort of in-vehicle unit, whether it's a smartphone or a tablet or a Ranger, fully ruggedized MDC units. As long as your system has the real-time information, it's going to be able to be pushed out to the public in this web portal, which is quite nice. Obviously, it's going to lighten call center volumes or the pressures on your call center staff because people are going to be able to check the information on their trips or make adjustments to their trips or manage their account without having to call in. So I think that one's self-explanatory. And, of course, this information is going to be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All right, last but not least, this tool, like I mentioned earlier, is very simple and easy to use. That was the whole objective when we designed this new iteration of our web portal. Custom or configuration settings are going to be easy to manipulate for the individual agencies, requiring less involvement from your IT staff. When you make the settings in your system and you set this up, they're going to be protected through upgrades. So as many of you probably know, we offer license-free upgrades for all our modules year after year. And when you do upgrade and move to the newer or latest version of this module, you're not going to have to start from scratch with all your settings, which is quite nice. There's a limited need for staff training, as I keep reiterating. This is going to be an easy-to-use module, not just for the public, but internally as well. It's going to be branded to your company's look and feel on your website. And, of course, it's going to be mobile device friendly. So people are going to be able to access this portal on desktop computers, smartphones, tablets, what have you. Now, without further ado, let's take a look at some technology. Joe's going to take it away for the demonstration.
All right, thanks, Brendan. Okay, so what we see in front of us here, this is the online portal here that Brendan was just mentioning. You'll notice that it's set up on a website here. Obviously, you decide to move forward with this, you can link this straight from your website, have your own URL, and as Brendan mentioned, this is the portal where passengers, members, whatever you call them in your specific agency, will be able to log in and not only manage their own bookings, but retrieve passenger information. So you'll notice right away we have a clean, crisp login screen. and a lot of the normal functionality as far as the Remember Me and the Forgot My Password link, which will allow self-service to be able to reset passwords without having to call the agency. And one of the themes that you heard Brendan mention is we're really trying to reduce the toll of all the calls coming into your agency, and this is just another small but important way where passengers are able to trigger the Forgot My Password without your intervention, and then as I'll show, they also can change and manage their password. So I'm going to log in with my account information. And once I'm logged in, this shows the actual portal, and we're going to step through this and kind of highlight some of the main features and functionality. So as Brendan mentioned, this is mobile device compatible. It does scale nicely, so you'll notice if I suddenly scale it to 50%, it transitions nicely, and we've tested this on anything from a 4-inch phone screen to an 8-inch tablet screen to a 30-inch monitor. So it's really device agnostic. If you have an iPhone, you have an Android, you have a PC, you're able to use this product seamlessly. So now that we're in, you can see, first off, you'll notice kind of the color scheme and the branding for our demo environment. It's all TripSpark, but you're able to brand this with your own brands. And as I'm going through the functionality, as you see different things, this is set up to highlight all of the functionality, but there's a lot of configuration in the background that you can tweak it to meet your operational needs. You may not want to allow your passengers to, for example, book subscription trips, so that feature can be turned off. So right when we come in, we have the left navigation panel. You'll see I'm logged in as Mrs. Sarah Alvarez. I have some information from her profile here, and these are all of the different action items that we'll go down the list here in a minute. Now, front and center, this is my portal, and you'll notice right when passengers log in, you want to present them with information that's immediately relevant to them. For example, we have a bulletin posted, and you can see since this was an important bulletin, we can have it actually published straight to their home screen right when they log in, and then we also have a bulletin link where they can review all bulletins. And what's nice is if they've logged in and they haven't seen a bulletin before, it'll also indicate to the user that there's a bulletin that they need to review. The next little widget we have in here is the My Upcoming Trips, which is very, very important. This shows them their trips for today, and it also will give them passenger information. Common passenger information is the estimated times for their trips. As Brendan mentioned, you can see Where's My Bus, which I'll demonstrate here in a little bit. And then one of the things we think is pretty cool that's a nice feature is I know a lot of agencies do will calls. Almost all agencies do will call return trips where the passenger will call you when they're ready to return home. Well, how that process typically works is they call the center. The center has to actually look up the passenger and trigger the will call process. Well, we have a single I am ready button, and this I am ready button basically starts that process without the call. So in a single click, you're able to basically alert dispatch that the will call is ready, or actually trigger the system to find the next available bus and move forward in that way. So it's the single I am ready. The passenger can open up the web app and actually press that button, and it triggers the will call process and streamlines that. You multiply that by some agencies doing 1,000+ will calls a day. That's a huge time saver, and it also can increase efficiency. Over here, this is a little quick booking widget. So we do have our main booking screen, but if passengers, for example, want to do a recent booking to Deacon Street, want to select the date and want to move forward, it basically allows them to very, very quickly create a new booking without actually having to click on book a trip or go through the regular booking process, which is in of itself is streamlined, but this is right front and center. We analyzed sites who've used the legacy product. We analyzed agencies and surveyed them on what their needs were, and the main needs were, I want to know trip information right when I log in, I want to know any service bulletins, and I want to be able to quickly book a trip in 10 seconds or less. And I think we're able to accomplish all of that straight from the home screen. So now I'm going to go down the list here and just highlight a lot of the different screens and touch on them. So the My Trips, if I click on the My Trips, this provides a list of trips for either today, in the past, or upcoming trips for future dates. And the calendar is actually highlighted to show a little bit of a heat map, which shows when passengers have more or less trips. It highlights in red what the current day is, and then you're also able to view only your reoccurring trips. So if I want to actually view my my subscriptions, I can actually view only my subscriptions. And this is kind of nice where I want to see just the subscriptions I have, so it'll show you the start date, the end date, what days of the week the subscription is going on. We always have the map close by. Or you could view all future trips. So I'm going to go back to today, and you'll notice not only are you able to view your trips, but you have action items on those trips. So for example, you'll notice as I was getting prepped, I booked and canceled a few trips. So color-coded, you can see nice and clean what the status is of the trips. And then as Brendan mentioned during his introductory part of the webinar today, is you're able to do actions. The creatures of habit, which is one of my favorite terms as well, is you can come in and you can book the trip again. So what's nice is we've shown you a couple ways to book the trip again. You can see your recent trips, and we can kind of time limit how many trips, how long these trips are retained here. But when passengers are taking similar trips, you can choose that trip from this simple drop-down, or if you want to see more of a list view and kind of search around, you're able to book trips again here. You're able to view details of trips, and what's nice is you can see additional details. Here's the map, so you can see the pickup and drop-off, any comments that you may see, what time you requested, estimated times, and then also you could cancel trips. And what's nice about that is depending on when you cancel trips, when I come up and do the cancel dialog, if it's just a single trip, it'll have the single trip here. If there's multiple trips, you'll be able to multi-select and cancel them, excuse me, all at once, or you're able to cancel them individually. One nice piece about that is you can set your policy on how far in advance passengers can actually cancel their trips, and when it's within your immediate dispatch window, let's say 6 hours, you can actually have it where if a passenger tries to cancel a trip that's imminent, as you would put it, they'll get a flag saying you cannot cancel trips that are less than 6 hours from the current time. You must call dispatch to handle it, because if you have trips suddenly dropping off at the last second, that could decrease the level of service as well. So we have a lot of those nice little tweaks to make sure it's meeting your operational policies and what functionality is enabled. Okay, so the meat of the operation, the book a trip, when we come in here, you'll notice this is just a little bit more information, same process as the first screen. But first off, do I want to book a trip, and if so, do I want to select a recent trip? And then, or if I don't want to select a recent trip, how do I actually do address entry? And what's nice about this is mirrored a little bit off of kind of what Google does as far as the simplicity to enter in addresses. You don't want to have 10 different boxes where they accidentally put street number where it's street name. Right when they click in the address entry box, it'll show them their registered addresses, which pulls straight from their passenger profile. And it also will show down here their recent addresses. And if I start typing in, what's nice about this is it has the smarts, for example, when I type in hospital, to search within my hospital's category, since I may be searching for a hospital, or you'll see further down, the less likely option is I want to find a hospital road or a hospital drive. So straight up address entry, straight up common locations, and then we also have some functionality where you may only allow your passengers to book trips to approved facilities. Well, you can have it such that the only results returned are results that pull straight from your common locations file. So again, another one of those little settings that can enable you to control what you allow their passengers to do, because if you still have to touch and work with every single booking that's created, that's obviously you want this to handle a lot of that load so you can focus on operational efficiency. So I'm just going to book this trip, let's say, from 100 Main Street, and then I'm going to go ahead and go to, 3070 Deacon Street. You'll notice it's responsive as I'm actually creating the addresses. You'll notice it's showing them on the map. And then here, these are the comments that will be sent to the driver or dispatcher, and they would automatically pull in if they already exist on those addresses. Otherwise, you gate codes, make sure to drive around back, that type of information. Next, we have the date. So you can see here the date and also the repeat trip. So the repeat trip triggers a subscription process, and again, this is something that I find not all agencies will want to allow their passengers to book subscription trips on their own. However, if you do, it's a very simple calendar where you can basically select the days of the week that you want the subscription to go, what the start date is, what the end date is there no end date, things like that. So if you don't allow subscriptions, the subscription, kind of the repeat button will not even be there. So I can come in and, for example, let's just say I'm going to go ahead and book a trip for, next week. And again, you can control how many days in advance you're allowed to book trips. There's properties where you can, how many trips you allow them to book in a day. There's a lot of different properties over, when you actually allow them to book the trips, what they're able to do. Now we have the outbound and return trip here. So for the outbound, we have the pick me up or drop me off at. So that's just, this simplistic language as far as I want to be picked up around this time, or I have an appointment I want to be dropped off at this time. And then we have the time entry here. So, 3 o'clock, let's say on the 13th. And actually, let me change that to 2 on the 13th. And then also, is this a one-way trip? And what's nice, if it's a one-way trip, it'll remove everything over here because you have other way to get home, so we don't need to actually book that trip. Or for the return trip, you'll notice we have another option. Not only the pick me up or the drop me off at, that's the I will notify you that day. That's your will call flag. And any of our demand response medical products, right, they all handle will call management. So this is basically the flag that book and schedule the outbound trip, but I will notify you that day for the return trip, which could lead directly to what I showed just a few minutes ago with the I am ready button, that I am ready button will be triggered once their outbound trip has been completed. It'll streamline the whole process. So that's a nice little way to create the will call return trip. And then also to simplify things, if the options are the same as the outbound, so you'll notice the callback number here, and what's nice about this is this pulls directly from the passenger's profile, but let's say you have our Ripple product, which is our notifications product, where if you book a trip, cancel a trip, imminent arrivals, it will send you text messages, emails, voice calls. If you want to change this number on this trip here, that could trigger the Ripple system to call the different number that you have just for that day without impacting all your other trips. So that's a toggle where, I want to be contacted for this booking on this number. Here's the number I normally have, but maybe I have a different contact number for this day. I want to make sure my notifications come through on that number. The I am bringing and the additional passengers, you'll notice the I am bringing lists any mobility aids. It defaults the mobility aids to what you have. You can choose any additional mobility aids. Do you have any additional passengers? Do you have a companion that's an ambulatory? Do you have additional passengers? And keep in mind, this also links to your policy in the back-end software as well. If you have a mandatory PCA required for this passenger, the PCA will be defaulted there, and you will not be able to remove that PCA. So it does have some smarts to not just allow the passengers to break policy. It will conform to what you have set up in the back-end solution. And also booking purpose. This is kind of our area that we do have some flexibility here to be able to capture. What do you need to capture from the passenger themselves at the time of booking? And so you see the one other ancillary piece of data we have here is a booking purpose, since we want to be able to report on booking purposes here. If I do actually remove the same as outbound, you'll notice right away it'll show the same as this box over here. However, I could toggle and say, you know what, on the way back I'm going to not have leg braces, I'm going to have a walker. So I could toggle it so that return trip the driver is aware, and you have allocated the appropriate dwell time as well for that return trip option. So I know I've gone over it verbosely, but I have the origin, I have the date, I've got both legs of the trip, and now I have my book a trip button here. And you'll see here, this is a busy passenger. We've got trips all over the place. But you can see here's your booking confirmation screen. So I've got my my outbound trip, my return trip. It's I will notify what the addresses are. Here's the trips you already have on that day. If you see something you don't like, you can make changes, go back and modify. Otherwise, you can go ahead and confirm. What's nice about this is we actually have some different options here. So you'll see here what just happened is it actually called our Sched server, and no matter if you're using Pass, Novus, MT, or any of our solutions, it actually called Sched server and it found the pickup at this time, a drop off at this time, and then the return obviously didn't schedule because it will notify. Are you able to, do you agree with that? Do you accept it, or do you decline it? If you decline the trip, it's actually flagged and it's noted with a decline type in the database, so you could actually come in and run a report and see how many passengers aren't actually accepting the solution. And if the questions are coming across, this is one of the questions we have is, we do have settings, and we'd be curious on your feedback on what you'd actually want this to do. Would you want it to actually call the scheduling engine and schedule trips? And we also have options to actually just book the trip. So we just want the system to actually book the trip, and then we're going to run a batch schedule. We're going to go through our scheduling process after the fact. So really, it's just more. It can be a call intake as far as booking the trips, or kind of my preference is take advantage of the scheduling engine and actually find solutions. And we even will take it a step further here, and if you have scheduling enabled and no solutions are found, we also have a setting on whether or not we allow that trip to be booked. If you no longer, you have 50 9 a.m. appointments come in, even with your hour window, there's just nothing else left, we can make it so it won't allow you to book a trip unless a solution is found, or it'll still allow you to book the trip, and you may have to send out another vehicle, broker the trips out to subcontractors, whatever you want. So we have some great flexibility, and when you hit that book a trip and it's talking to the system, whether it be Pass, Novus, MT, what options do we give the customer? And we'd definitely love your feedback on this subject. You can see the booking is confirmed. I can view the trip. I can go and book another trip. And so what's nice about this is if you actually have the Ripple notifications, you'd be able to tie in the and let me actually show an example of that. But you'd actually be able to come in and show or receive, I should say, an actual confirmation email. So this is an example of an email that could be triggered directly after you book the trip. And obviously there's other examples on, getting calls the day before and all of that, but it will tie nicely into the notification system. Okay, so we've gone over the booking trips and the bulletins, or the book a trip and my trips, I should say. Sorry about that. We also have the bulletins here. So this is, these are different alerts or bulletins, and you can hyperlink to other pages. You can schedule your bulletins and when you want them to appear, how long they actually run for. It's a very self-managed product, so you're not going to have to touch any HTML, INI files or anything to make changes there. So again, you can have your bulletins. You can kind of schedule when your bulletins actually are going to appear, so that's a nice functionality to keep passengers actually in tune with any operational incidents or anything on the road they need to be aware of, senior centers closed, upcoming fare changes, whatever you want to put there. All right, the profile button, this allows the passenger to kind of review and modify their profile. Again, there are some options here, and different agencies will have different opinions on this as far as you need to very carefully consider what you want to allow your passengers to modify on their profile, because you may not want certain passengers with disabilities coming in and changing their address because their address could be invalid, and then you're scheduling trips and having drivers arrive where no one's going to be there. So typically we set up some defaults here as far as what they actually can manage. Their preferred phone number, their preferred email, the address we have set up in this installation where they actually have to call for their address. We can set preferred language here because we do offer multiple language support, and then we also allow the reset password straight from here as well, and you can enforce a password policy also. So, and what's nice about this is the forgot password. You'll get an email sent to you. And then also, if you're changing your preferred email, we can have it such that you'll actually have to confirm your email. I actually was just playing around with that this morning, and you can see here, here's an example of please confirm your email address. So once you log in online, you have your email address, please confirm this, and that'll obviously ensure that emails and that type of information is going to the right address there. So again, a nice, clean profile here. We obviously do have some control over what we can display, what passengers can edit, so that's the profile there. Now, next, and again, so that's really the meat of the web product right now as far as the main functionality. It's kind of separated from a passenger information point of view and also what the passengers can do with their information. These other links down here, you're actually able to either embed, oops, you know what? I realized that was a self-loop there, so I apologize there. But you're actually able to embed information, so you can see the custom page there. If you have a secure website, you want to embed information, you could actually embed some of your own information straight within our product. You can do links where it opens up a new page. So if you want to link to you want to keep them within the product here, but you want to link to the new page. So if there's anything else you want the passenger to see front and center that's useful for them, that helps reduce the impact on your operation, you're actually able to set up these custom links, manage them, and give the passenger some options here that are very specific to your operation and where you want to direct them. Next, what I wanted to do here is also show another feature here, and I'm sorry, since I'm not actually driving right now, which probably wouldn't be very safe, is you actually can also show the ETA here. So you're actually, you can see here, and again, it's all in simulation mode, but when the bus is a certain threshold from the actual arrival, and again, that can be set to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, however minutes it is, it actually will highlight with the green bar here. It'll show the map. Here's the pickup where it's headed, and then here's the vehicle, and you can actually see, vehicle A101 is actually going to be the vehicle that's coming, and so right away the passenger can actually see it. As it gets closer, you can see it actually moving there, and then the estimated time is actually updating. And being a long-time demand response person, I can appreciate that because if the passenger is given information on imminent arrival, they actually will be. They may be sitting outside already, and what I'd look for as the key operational metric there is the reduction of dwell time. Are we able to get average dwell time and even break it down by space type where, ambulatory dwell time is down from 2 minutes to 1 minute or even 1.5 minutes, which spread over the course of a long period of time is a huge efficiency there. So that's another kind of more passenger information tool that's very, very useful to give the passengers real-time information on where the vehicle is, to be able to plan accordingly and be able to be ready on time for the bus's arrival. So I think from my perspective, we've covered a lot of the main features and functionality. Hopefully the questions have been coming through, and one of the things, and I don't know if the questions come through just yet, but one of the things that's next is right now, this is for members to log in and manage their own information. We're next going to be adapting this as more of a facility funding portal as well, where if you're a facility or a worker, a caseworker, you'll be able to log in and manage groups of members or passengers. So you could actually be logging in on their behalf and managing their trips, booking their trips. And if you're a facility, you're managing trips assigned to your facility. If you're a caseworker, you're assigned to 10 different passengers, and you need to be able to manage all of them. So when you log in, obviously there'll need to be an easy way to be able to first determine who am I going to manage and be able to quickly toggle between that. And so if the questions come through, I would love any feedback as far as, especially on the medical agencies, any key features or functionality from a facility funder portal when they log in, how the look needs to differ, and what are some of the main requirements to make this a very useful product for that market. Can you display the appointment times as a pickup range, 12 to 12:30, rather than a single time? Absolutely. Time windows are, as you're familiar with all of our products, there's a lot of different time options, and you definitely can display. You can definitely display the range there, especially with pickups. You're right. You may have a 15 and 15-minute policy, and we even have agencies that, depending on the type of trip, you have a different pickup range. So most definitely. And then also, one thing, and I saw another question come, is one of the things I forgot to mention was, with TripSpark, we're really focused on ease of administration, ease of use, and also ease to get this up and running. And so, one thing we've done is definitely based on legacy products and everything else. You can get up and running with this a lot quicker. So the number of days and the turnaround time to actually get this implemented is much streamlined. Obviously, on your end, you'll have to implement the operational changes, make sure your passengers are aware of all the new tools to be able to use. But we really can come in and get this up and running very, very quickly. And the other question I saw come in, I think I might have mentioned earlier, is we definitely can come in and you can make this look like your website, basically. You make it look like your agency. So the banner, the logos, some of the schemes, you'll be able to tailor to your agency. So if it's Joe Transit, it would show Joe Transit, and it's gonna it can tie in very nicely with other with your actual corporate website. Or I've seen it often where web products, when the passenger goes to yourtransitsite.com, there'll be a nice big shiny button that says book your own trips or manage your own trips, which will take them right to the website where they'll be able to work with this. What if you want passengers to see their book rides and monitor them and not allow them to book trips? So that definitely can be done, and that kind of why it's split, where especially with certain agencies where there's just so many rules to actually book trips that it'd be difficult to allow passengers to book their own trips. You definitely can make it more of a trip management portal, not a booking portal, where they can only come in, maybe cancel their trips, see their buses, but not actually allow them to book new trips because they need to go through the core call center. So you can make it a very nice tool. Can you demonstrate how this app looks on a phone? And we'll give it a second here, but I can definitely come in and just make the browser very, very small. And again, right, you'll notice as it moves around. I apologize if there's any lag going on, but a phone, let's say it's a small phone screen, you'll notice instead of having where it was on the desktop, it had the widgets kind of moved off to one side. Now they're stacked. And then you'll notice the navigation bar is right there. So, obviously you can't have the navigation bar jutting out here, which is blocking this. And it's very common, MEC Bootstrap implementation where a lot of different websites have this type of navigation. So it's not anything unique in the market. So they're not going to have to figure out a new way how to navigate when it's mobile enabled. So once they actually press that button there, you'll see there's the actual links, and then if they go in and actually book a trip, you'll notice it's stacked very nicely. And then one trick we've done to make it easier is the view map is not loaded by default because, right, the map takes up a lot of space. So they can trigger the view map, but then it's just straight up to down, not very much scrolling, and book the trip. So this is probably what it would look like on a 4-inch screen, and then you can see as you actually expand and open it up, it scales nicely all the way up to the full screen there. Where the full screen, obviously, when you have the real estate, take advantage of the real estate. When you don't, only show what's absolutely necessary.
Joe Robert had an interesting question. Can the displayed appointment times be displayed as a pickup range or window, 12 to 12:30, rather than a single time?
Yes, and I apologize if I didn't answer that probably, but yes, you absolutely can display the time range, which you're right, in often cases is very useful, but you could even display both. I want to see the time range, but then obviously if you have MDTs and you're able to actually show that the bus is on its way in the actual ETA, you could actually do them in tandem, so you can show either or both and also take advantage of the passenger information functionality if you're able to do that. Okay, and I see a question there. Good question. Just to clarify, do they only see the bus GPS location once we set that number of minutes prior to their trip, or is it just the ETA? So yeah, they can always see the ETA. So you can have it set where they can always see the ETA, like 3 hours before what the current ETA is. But once the bus functionality only kicks in so many minutes before, because if you show it to them 45 minutes before, they may see a bus coming close, but it's actually going to pick up someone else, which they might not appreciate as it drives by. So we can see the ETA at all times, but once it's within the imminent arrival window, you can see the actual ETA in a countdown in number of minutes and the actual bus in the map. That's a very, very good question. I appreciate that. I guess thank you very much for your time. I hope we showed you something that looks good and interesting, and I enjoyed the questions out there. They were very good questions.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate everyone's time and joining us today. There is going to be a video recording of this webinar available to you guys, so if you're interested in sharing it with some of your colleagues, I think we'll be sending it out to everyone to participate automatically, but be sure to reach out to us if you don't see that in the near future. Thanks so much, and everyone have yourselves a great day.